Hey, what's going on, guys? Bot Mentality here with a Bitcoin chart analysis for you, and today is September 20th of 2018. So we did have some interesting news come out on Bitcoin regarding the SEC. They went ahead and delayed the Bitcoin ETF, and the market actually interpreted it as good news. The reason for that, from what I can tell here, is that essentially, we saw this parabolic here on Bitcoin. I mentioned that during yesterday's consolidation, right? Or yesterday's video. We had this parabolic pullback that was essentially just clear manipulation. And then we saw the typical horizontal consolidation we normally see. Right when the delay was announced from the SEC on the Bitcoin ETF, we saw an initial pullback. But what happened is in the minutes released from the meeting that the SEC released, they said that they received 1,400 letters from, people who are interested in cryptocurrency and interested in the Bitcoin ETF. And 1,400 letters, that is very inspiring when you take into consideration no one sends letters these days. So I think that is good. We did get a message across as a community of those who support cryptocurrency. So the message got to the SEC, and they basically said, well, we're going to look for more public input. We want more information, so we're going to delay this a little bit further. Because it wasn't a denial, I think that was taken as positive news. So while we didn't get the approval we looked for here on this pullback, we did get positive news in how they responded. They said, hey, we're open to it, to a certain extent, but we need more information. We need more input from the public. So following that, we saw a quick reclaim here and a rip up through the 6,500, and now we're consolidating there. And so I'll talk about exactly what this means to me right now. The first thing I want to talk about here is, if you notice the volume here at the bottom, we did not see as much bullish volume as we saw previously. And the reason for that essentially is just the shorts haven't freaked out as much. And I'll show you that on the Bitfinex short chart a little bit later. We didn't see as much volume, and it is a smaller parabolic, but when you take into consideration what happened yesterday, it does make sense. So this is good. So yesterday I drew these lines here, and I just essentially pointed out the wedge pattern that we had. And I'll do the same thing here. I like to delete my lines every time I chart, guys, and then redraw them, not only just for experience, but because of the fact that you might see something different every time you draw, every time you go through and do your technical analysis. So I do recommend you guys do that as well. I wouldn't recommend leaving the same lines up over and over and over. Constantly look for new things. And then essentially what I did yesterday was I threw in the 6,380 support level. Let me make that orange there for you. And so I drew this line yesterday there in yesterday's video, and it was perfect support here. If you just look at the previous pivot highs we had here in this consolidation at that $6,380 level, we could perfectly consolidate it above that, bounce off it multiple times, saw the news, broke down, reclaimed, and ripped above the top of the trend line. I did mention we would see a increase in volume when we did break this down, this wedge here, this upper trend line, and we did, which is good. Also, my focus is support on the 6,500 on Bitcoin for position in an alternate coin. Now, I will say, so far, we're still looking to see if we can have concrete support on the 6,500, because if we don't hold here, this really doesn't mean anything. Less volume and not much of a breakout so far over the previous high we made yesterday on that manipulation move. So I'm still being patient. I'm just sitting and watching to see what happened. However, if you look on EOS, which I'll just pull it up here real quick for you guys, this is the perfect example of a huge move. Look at this perfect ascending volume there. Look at the bottom of the chart. Ascending volume into the technical breakout here on EOS. Consistent higher lows as Bitcoin was essentially consolidating sideways there, looking to break over the 6,500. And then a huge rip from $5.30 all the way up to a high here of $5.85, which is huge. So for EOS, the most likely period of consolidation there off of recent pivot highs is the 550, and that's also a whole and half dollar mark like I talk about so often. People normally take those levels into account. So that's good. So assuming Bitcoin can continue the way it is going and find support in the 6,500, I probably will end up scooping some EOS there on the next pullback, just because it moves so much more exponentially than Bitcoin. You need to make sure you size appropriately and remain patient if you are going to trade an alternate coin, because it has so much more volatility and room to move back. So make sure you remain careful about that. But look at that bullish volume. I love it there, guys. But back to Bitcoin. So for right now, again, we did see that consolidation I was looking for on the 6,380. Now I'm looking for the same thing at the 6,500, just to kind of build confidence and further distance ourselves from the worst case scenario of essentially breaking back down below that previous low there at 6,200 and going towards that 5,800 level. Because so far, all in all, guys, this doesn't really mean anything. Not until we get back over that 6,500, find support on it, and are over these previous highs that we have right here. Okay, so I want to see some more continuation there. The altcoins are ripping, especially Ripple. It's looking great and had a nice parabolic there on news. However, we do need to see some more. I want to see more development on Bitcoin before taking the next position there. And just a moment here. All right. And so now we'll jump over to the larger term time frame, and I'll show you exactly what we're looking at here. So if we go to the daily chart, I'll clear all this. If you go to the daily chart, we did break over the 12 EMA very nicely, but we're still testing the 26. Before we stuffed on the 26 exponential moving average, but right now we're looking to see if we can break that. And so how things are looking to shape up right now, if we are able to break through that 26 exponential moving average, we'll probably move up towards that 6,650 resistance level, pull back, and then that 26 EMA should act as support along with the 6,500 base, which is what I'm looking for. That's a more ideal situation for me, since really this move doesn't mean too much because we haven't even broken the previous highs over here. So we're still waiting to see. It's looking good so far, much better than it did a few days ago. I'll tell you that, guys. But I'm still remaining patient to see a little bit more continuation here on the daily chart to get us away from these lows down here. We'll jump over to the Bitcoin longs. So what I'm seeing right now here on the longs is, you can see over, I'm on the 15-minute right now, we saw a very strong, essentially parabolic of the Bitcoin longs as they bought us through the top of that wedge trend line that I mentioned earlier. If you go to the hourly, you see the same thing, just 3 solid hours of gains. We're seeing a little bit of pullback right now, but that's good. That's bullish volume. If you look on the shorts, now the shorts haven't retraced as much as the longs. They're not, yesterday's move when we saw this manipulation here, look how far the shorts sold off from that, all the way back down, meaning that the shorts covered their positions and increased and bought to close, which increased the price, which is where we saw that stronger bull volume. But here today, we didn't see as much of a breakdown, not as strong, at least not as much distance as the long. So really what happened here, majority of it is long volume. As we saw this curl right here, we broke down below that line, so I drew that there. But the majority of Bitcoin's move today on that parabolic was longs buying, which is good, which is a good sign. Shorts haven't covered much, which is a good sign. So this was a pretty bullish break. Now we didn't see as much volume as the previously, but that's understandable when you look at this parabolic right here. So the shorts so far, if you go to the larger term time frame on the 4-hour, we're pulling back a little bit. I don't think we'll get going too much more until we break this previous pivot low right here. Until we break that previous low, I don't think we're really going to get going too much. We could easily just curl back and head back up as shorts. If we reject the 6,500 in shorts, we're gaining confidence. On the long chart here, the Bitfinex longs, you'll see that on the 4-hour, we did curl, and this increase put us close to the high. So hopefully if we're able to break those and make a higher high, then we can make a higher low, and we can kind of reverse this trend we've been seeing here. That would be good. And right now we're just pending, essentially pending chart development to look and see what we can do. But so far, the opportunity has been in terms of the alternate coins. I've been remaining patient here as I'm waiting for Bitcoin to set up how I'd like to on the daily chart, because if we don't get the breakdown everyone's looking for as far as the technical breakdown below 6,000, then at that time you need to start looking the other way. So let's definitely hope this Bitcoin move can move up, hopefully break the 6,600 resistance level before pulling back and finding support in that 6,500, where it's likely I'll go ahead and make a long position there on an alternate coin. Just looking for Bitcoin continuation is what we can hope. So I'm just going to keep this one short today, guys. That's my focus for right now. I want to talk about the SEC news. But again, if you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below. You can message me on Twitter. You can tweet me there on Twitter. You can send me an email. And yeah, I have information on my daily newsletter, daily technical analysis, my mentorship program on my Patreon. And I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, guys. And again, my name is Bot Mentality. Continue to stay focused on controlling your emotions, regulating those so that you can develop the bot mentality and trade like a machine, guys. I'm out of here. Deuces.